Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of NEWS2. I'm Sandra Gumansing, topping our newscast. The government employees' retirement system continues to face a looming fiscal cliff, and government officials have been pointing fingers. Governor Kenneth Mapp said it's bad investment and operations by the system. GERS Administrator Austin Nibbs fired back, saying the government owes the pension system more than $100 million. Now the acting Attorney General is stepping in. News2's April Knight has that story.
Acting Attorney General Claude Walker is getting his hands into the rapidly deteriorating GERS financial crisis. He's recently issued a subpoena for investment data from the system's investment managers.
This type of data is commonly requested. This is a routine request for investment data from the investment managers. It's best to go directly to the investment managers because the board itself is not a repository for this information.
The subpoena is going out to some 11 firms across the country. According to Walker, he's looking at 3 possible scenarios that could have contributed to the plummeting GERS finances.
First one is the manager makes poor investment choices. The second scenario is poor choices were done intentionally based on misconduct or fraud. The third scenario is where it's not so much the manager as the company that the investment manager invested in.
And all of these scenarios, if proven, are actionable by his office, Walker said. Even the first one, the case of poor judgment.
Even if it's an innocent situation where the person exercised poor judgment, you still have to look at the circumstances. In other words, you should not undertake something that you are not trained to do.
The acting AG wants to make clear that he does not have any evidence of any wrongdoing at the moment. What he does have, he said, is the responsibility to investigate what's been draining the retirement funds of thousands of government employees. Reporting for News2, I'm April Knight.
The acting Attorney General requested the data twice from GERS officials before deciding to subpoena the investment management firms directly. In other news, Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter advises all real property owners on St. John that a representative of the Division of Tax Collection will be at the tax assessor's office at the Islandia building on St. John. That's Thursday, October 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to accept applications for those who wish to establish an installment agreement with the government of the Virgin Islands. He says all delinquent real property owners are encouraged to come in to pay or establish an installment agreement with the Division of Tax Collection at the tax assessor's office. A representative of the Division of Corporation and Trademarks also will be at the St. John tax assessor's office at the Islandia building on Wednesday, October 14th. Well, the Bureau of Economic Research recently released a report on economic indicators, and one of the bright spots in that report is tourism across the territory, but especially for St. Croix. BER Director Bernadette Melendez broke down the numbers to News2. News2's April Knight has more.
The tourism outlook is bright and sunny for the territory this year. The Bureau of Economic Research just released new tourism numbers for the first 9 months of 2015.
Based on the numbers that we're seeing, yes.
According to BER, air arrivals grew a strong 7%, but cruise passenger arrivals were at the same level a year earlier. On St. Croix in particular, air arrivals went up a whopping 18%, or almost 1/5 of last year's numbers. According to BER Executive Director Bernadette Melendez, 2 factors contribute to the spike in air visitors to the Big Island.
Delta had some flights that they were going to discontinue, and they was extended to August 2015. We felt that those promotions by tourism and the extra flights, we noticed that in August 2014, St. Croix had like 8,944, and then there was an of 11,804.
For fiscal year 2016, the Department of Tourism did ask for $19 million from the Tourism Revolving Fund to go toward advertising. And those numbers are still expected to go even higher. Some 46 cruise ship calls are scheduled for St. Croix alone during October 2015 to April 2016. Those calls are expected to bring in an additional 135,000 passengers and 45,600 crew members.
Based on the new ships that may be coming, we believe there should be an upswing. ICO is projecting 375 calls, totaling like 1.2 passengers for the winter season. That's 2015 goes into 2016.
3 new megaships are also expected to dock in the territory. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, if you wish to get a hold of a copy of that report, you can go to www.usviber.org. The Virgin Islands is number 4 in total onshore visits between May 2014 and April 2015, and that's according to the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, which found that the Virgin Islands generated more than $344 million during the same period. The onshore visits meant some 1.8 million passengers took advantage of what St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John had to offer. The Cruise Association also found that many of the Virgin Islands visitors, about 18%, are return visitors who have traveled to the territory at least 5 times in the past. Commissioner-designee Carlos Robles of the VI Department of Agriculture is pleased to announce that the Virgin Islands has qualified for additional assistance for livestock farmers on St. Croix who have been adversely affected by the drought. Secretary of Agriculture Thomas Vilsack, in an August 26, 2015 letter, designated St. Croix County a primary natural disaster area, according to that document. Such secretarial disaster declaration made farm operators eligible to be considered for certain assistance from the USDA Farm Service Agency, provided eligibility requirements are met. The Virgin Islands has qualified not only for low-interest loans for farmers, but for 2 additional programs. All St. Croix livestock farmers who have suffered loss of animals and loss of pasture grasses, you can contact the Farm Service Agency office and make an appointment to find out if you are eligible. Senator Kurt Violet, who's the chairman of the Committee on Health and Hospitals, on Tuesday led committee members on a tour of the Department of Health on St. Croix. He said the tour is not to be seen as negative nor a witch hunt, but as an opportunity to provide senators with a clearer understanding of any impediment that may hinder the department efforts and to also assist from the legislative standpoint. Acting Commissioner of Health Dr. Phyllis Wallace provided senators with an overview of services and difficulties, including a leadership team and finding individuals, she say, who are qualified. Here's more.
I think that it was a very fruitful meeting. We were able to dig deep into the issues affecting the health system. And we made a number of recommendations that we will be following up from my office in terms of how we think we can change what is going on. Definitely we saw a need for leadership. The hospital is without a permanent commissioner. This present commissioner is set to go home last week, October 8th, matter of fact. And we also don't have an assistant commissioner, and we're missing deputy commissioner. So the first call that I have is for Government House to name permanent leadership for the hospital. This is such a critical area. You know, they cover mental health, substance abuse, WIC, MCH is such a critical area to not have leadership for 10 months. I'm hoping that very, very shortly, within the next week.
And turn our attention overseas. What happened in Vegas certainly isn't staying there. The good, the bad, and the ugly moments from last night's Democratic debate are already making major waves in the 2016 campaign. Diane Gallagher breaks down the lasting effects of the first face-off.
The highs.
That the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
And lows.
Sure, what does that say about you that you're casting a vote for something you weren't really sure about?
I think you're being a little rough.
Of the Democrats' first debate are now behind them. But Tuesday night's Sin City showdown will likely have a lasting effect on 2016. The general consensus? It was a good debate. Even the Republicans seem to enjoy it.
I can tell you that I'm sitting here having debate envy. Because what we saw today was a master class on debating.
And Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders ran away with it.
Basically tonight, Hillary Clinton was Beyonce. She was flawless.
Of the three other guys, all polling at less than 1% nationally, experts say only Martin O'Malley came close to making a mark.
I think O'Malley helped himself. I don't know that he helped himself enough, but I think his constant drumbeat of, well, you like that policy? I did it in Maryland. You like that? I did it. I think that actually
was effective.
Worked very well.
Several pundits predicted this was the beginning of the end of the road for Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb. And some are even saying it could be the same for a particularly popular non-candidate.
And if I'm Biden, I don't see any way to get on the stage between Sanders' performance, certainly near the end, and Hillary Clinton's domination. I don't see a road in for Biden.
I would have to think that this would give him some pause.
Sources close to Biden say that Clinton's debate performance would have no impact on his decision to run for president. In Washington, Diane Gallagher reporting.
And keeping our eye on the economy, here's a look at the stock market watch, the New York Stock Exchange. Everything down. The Dow down 157, NASDAQ 13, S&P 500 also down at 9. Coming up on News 2, the Virgin Islands Department of Health partners with Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to recommend a yearly flu vaccine to protect against the flu viruses. The dates are released for when those flu shots will be administered. Coming up next. Welcome back. District Court Judge Curtis Gomez today sentenced Carlos Salvador Fernandez, 47, to 25 months in prison and 3 years of supervised release for re-entering the United States. Documents state on June 10, 2015, Fernandez pleaded guilty to re-entry after deportation. Court records show that on April 20th, Fernandez presented himself for inspection at the Cyril King Airport prior to boarding a flight to Washington, D.C. When questioned, Fernandez claimed to be a United States permanent resident. Fernandez was referred for secondary inspection, at which time he admitted that he was previously deported from the United States in February 2006. The U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security did not give permission for him to re-enter the United States. On Tuesday, October 13th at 11:04 a.m., officers were dispatched to the Schneider Hospital, they say, in response to a man being treated for injuries sustained during an assault. The victim stated that while walking in the area towards the rear of the Salvation Army, an unknown male approached him and asked for $1, to which the victim replied no and continued walking. As the victim made his way towards Vesta Gata, the unknown male attacked him from behind, striking the back of the victim's head with a 2x4 wooden stick. The victim was eventually able to push his assailant away from him. He sustained lacerations and a contusion to the rear of his head and lacerations to both arms. Call VIPD if you have any information that can assist. Don't miss the next CAPA Town Hall meeting where you can voice your concerns and be heard. On October 19th at 6 p.m. at the Frederick Lutheran Church on Noragata, CAPA and the St. Thomas St. John Chamber of Members will be presenting this opportunity to discuss crime, traffic, trash, and much more. The plan is to develop a plan to address the issues. The second meeting to discuss a plan of action will be held on October 26th. The Virgin Islands Department of Health partners with Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to recommend a yearly flu vaccine to protect against the flu viruses. While there are many different flu viruses, the flu vaccine protects against the viruses that research suggests will be most common. Everyone 6 months of age and older should get the flu vaccine. And here is the schedule. On St. Thomas, it's Friday, October 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Tutu Park Mall. And then Wednesday, October 28th from 9 to 3 at the Crown Bay Center on St. Croix. Events will be held on Friday, October 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Charles Harwood Complex lobby. And then Friday, October 23rd from 9 to 2 at UVI. Friday, October 30th as well from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the AARP office in Sunny Isles. Now on St. John, it's Thursday, October 22nd from 9 to 2 at the Morris de Castro Clinic in Cruz Bay. eliminating health disparities in minority communities. This is the theme for a conference that is currently underway. The Caribbean Exploratory Research Center, a unit within UVI School of Nursing, is hosting this event that started today. It ends October 16th at the Marriott Frenchman's Reef. Health disparities refer to differences in the health status of different groups of people. Experts in health policy and research from across the nation and the Caribbean are addressing health issues and concerns, including attorney Deirdre Walton, immediate past president of the National Black Nurses Association, Dr. Kim Lynn Ashing, professor and founding director of the Beckman Research Institute. Also, there will be discussions on chronic diseases, violence against women, and clinical breast examinations. And don't miss another event for mental health on St. Thomas. VI native Yasin Hall is on a mission to end the stigma of mental illness in the Virgin Islands, and we've interviewed her before. She's bringing a team of mental health professionals. Dr. Vincentia Constantin has a PhD in philosophy and educating students with disabilities with the background signing, special education, and mental health counseling. Jacqui Letran, she's a licensed mental health clinical nurse practitioner. She's specialist in adolescent self-esteem builder and author. Ms. Yasin Hall, VI native, is a certified mental health crisis trauma instructor and author. Many have read her book, Journey Untold. Now, the team has volunteered all of their services to the community. Events begin on October 17th at Tutu Park Mall and ends October 22nd. We'll have more details. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.